lines of the show. I was like, what did he say?
What did Croat just say?
Yeah.
Right.
And then I rewound it and I turned the subtitles on and I just left them on for the entire episode.
Smart to do it that way, I think, because
yeah,
I was flying in the dark for the first one, and then the second one, things made more sense. So
there was one thing that the Croat said at the beginning of the episode when he says to Maggie, like, "Oh, you don't like," Puccini. And he says the name Puccini, and I'm like, did I hear that right? And then I ran back and I turned the subtitles on, and then I just left them on for the rest of the episode. I was like, there's a lot of Croat this episode. I should probably just leave them on.
I didn't realize until far too late that there was a lot of quiet Croat too, like a lot of contemplative, reflective Croat. So yeah, that was quiet.
This episode, I know we still have to do the feedback for last week's episode, but this episode, man, like intrigued the hell out of me.
So I hate all right, that's a strong word, but I really, really, really am bored to tears, even though it's still compelling storytelling, like the first 30 minutes, but then the last 10 minutes really sell it. I don't know. We'll get into it because I don't know how I feel about this episode in the long run, and I'm still processing after 2 views and a second view today where I land on this one.
Okay, that's fair. I'm intrigued.
Penultimate, and like this did 2 years in a row. The penultimate does not have a penultimate energy to it.
I will agree with you on that. I did not feel this was penultimate worthy. Like it didn't have, like you said, it didn't have that penultimate energy to it. It didn't feel like we were. I mean, don't get me wrong. The ending of the episode,
yes,
okay, like
yes,
but you're right. The rest of it kind of felt like this could have been the penultimate to the penultimate.
Like, do you remember what last year's penultimate episode was?
I honestly don't.
It was the quad walker at the end, followed by the reveal that Ginny knew Maggie was lying about it.
When they were in the sewers.
Yes.
Yes.
So the entire lead up to the quad walker was really slow, character-driven work, and like, I see the artistry behind it, but damn, I need a little bit more like not Penny's boat in my penultimates, you know? I know that was the finale, but I don't know. We'll get to it. This is the hard thing about doing the feedback first, though.
We have to wait
into the episode, and like I gotta wade in the shallow end for now.
Yeah, no, that's, you know what, that's fair. But you know, as you said, let's get through the feedback for episode 6 first, and then we'll dive into episode 7. So I kicked things off last week. Why don't you kick us off this week?
All right, let's do it. First bit of feedback comes from Adam Buckley. Thanks, guys, for a great podcast. Last one was a blast. One of my favorite scenes this week was the bear. It just came out of nowhere, and it brought some real danger to the scene. I thought, oh shit, a bear. He was huge, too, and really gave me the zombie bear vibe. Really looked like it had been a tough time for that bear.
Yeah, you know what's funny is listening to you read that feedback, and you mentioned how sometimes it's kind of tough to do the feedback first and then go into the discussion. I'm sitting here and I'm listening to all this feedback and I'm like, we already talked about the bear.
Me too. I have that thought too. It's like, oh no, we are going.
Oh no,
back
this is
yes.
from last week. That's right.
Yes, Lauren Cohen's directorial debut.
Yeah, but thank you for that on as well, Adam. Because last week was the last episode was when we were still getting caught up with.
Oh yes, yeah. That's the other thing.
It was the back-to-back last week.
Oh my god. All right, our timeline is really funky. So bear with us here, folks.
It did feel like kind of a relief, though, that we were only doing one episode this week.
It felt like light lifting at that point.
It really did.
It's like, oh, one of these? Psh, okay.
But next up, our feedback comes from Danielle Dementjost. Danielle says, I literally forgot this show was on. I watched the first 2 episodes this season and then completely forgot about it. I'm reminded every time I see a Podcastica post about it or a podcast episode hits Patreon and I think I need to get caught up. But then I immediately forget again. It's just not engaging unless it suddenly gets good after the second episode. I'll catch up at some point.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I maybe this is a show that's better just binged, you know, and not waiting week to week so that you don't have enough time to focus on some of the more frustrating pieces. Like, imagine if you could just blow through Navarez in an afternoon and just get through that whole storyline in a quick afternoon instead of, you know, a month and a half of sitting through her episodes.
Look, I don't want it to be said that because clearly, as this is a polarizing show, and we've been getting a good amount of negative feedback, not towards us, but towards the show.
Sure.
I don't want it to be said that we cherry pick or pick and choose the feedback that we're using. We're reading the negative just as much as the positive.
For sure.
And that's not only in fairness to the show and in fairness to our discussion, but in fairness to the people listening. I mean, if you're going to leave us feedback, whether it's positive or negative, we're going to read it. As long as you're not like personally like insulting us or anything like that, or making really disparaging comments about the actors themselves, we're going to read it. I mean,
if it's respectful and tasteful, and you know what? When I realized that if I put something on the Facebook group or I sent in an email, it was going to be read, that was pretty powerful. Like, this isn't like I'm not writing into a show on the Ringer. Like, this is Podcastica. Like, your voice is going to be heard. And I do really value that about all of the properties under this umbrella that Jason's created. Like, every voices are heard, and that's so cool.
Yeah. But on the note of reading negative feedback, why don't you read the next one?
All right. Next up comes from Lori Stewart. Sigh. I'm sorry to say that I find this show so stupid. Also, don't cast Jake Weary and not really use him. That said, I enjoy listening to the podcast and to you all sharing what works for you. Because of this and the fact that I'm a completionist, heck yeah, I will stick with you for the remainder of the season. Lori, if we can help you get through this season of frustrating television, I am so happy that you have found a way to enjoy it. That's what's up. Love that you're a completionist. That we've discussed it. We are team completion. I get this show is so stupid. I feel that sometimes, but like, I'll allow it because I watched every season of Saved by the Bell too, and every now and then I like watching old episodes. So like, maybe I just have crap taste, but I'll allow it to be what it is.
Yeah, I had to look for a minute because I wasn't sure who Jake Weary was, but that's Christos.
You know what? I didn't know who it was, and therefore I assumed it was Christos because he's the only person I couldn't name.
Well, yeah, yes, as well. I mean, the only other person I was thinking of was it could have been Victor, but we named that actor when we talked about him, and I knew it wasn't Jake Weary. So
that's so true. Yeah.
So yeah, but I agree with that too, Laurie. Jake Weary as Christos, it was a very underutilized role.
Great.
We could have gotten so much more from that character.
I feel like that's a theme for this show is underutilized potential with characters, and like too much screen time to the Navarezes and not enough to the Christoses.
Yeah, exactly. Next up comes from Dre Manoni. Dre says, sigh for you non-old schooler internet chat room people. That is a big sigh for me. I don't know what that's in reference to. I just wish this show was more than it is. I'm disappointed. Do I believe all the tension relationships between Maggie and Herschel? Maggie and Ginny, Herschel and Ginny, Maggie and the bear? It just all was a little underwhelming to me this week. When Negan's family showed up, I was like, that's purely what it was. Silence. What the fuck is your problem? She says WTF. Dre says WTF. I'm saying, what the fuck?
I appreciate that.
What the fuck is your problem? No one is controlling you. You don't have a vested interest in these people in New York City. Go be with your family and live far away where no one knows your name. This isn't Cheers, bud. Wrong city, but I love the reference. Okay, anyway, ranting finished. I'll keep watching. How many more episodes?
That would be one more episode of the show after you finish up this week, and 2 more episodes of the podcast again after you finish up this week.
Yes.
You know what I find really refreshing is all of the positive things that people are saying as we go through the feedback this week. It's really, it's making me feel good. No, I have no problems with what anyone's saying. Like I see the flaws in this show. I love
Absolutely.
it anyways,
yeah.
But I totally get what everyone's saying. So I'm actually thoroughly enjoying the negative feedback. It makes me chuckle.
The way I see it is like, it's not like Fear where people were hate watching it for purely for the sake of hate watching. It was because that's what Fear became. I mean, so much so that coverage of that show moved exclusively to Patreon because that's exactly, it was nothing. It was hate watching for the sake of hate watching.
Right.
I do appreciate the fact that even though people are having a tough time with this show, they're still watching it in, I guess, kind of feeding off of our hope that there's still some highlights to come.
Well, and I think it's just interesting enough that even when you're frustrated with some of the beats of the story, you're still kind of like, yeah, but like, what's going to happen next? Like,
yeah,
but where are we going? Like, I'm intrigued, guys.
I'm really curious where you're going to go with this. So
yes, I'll keep checking it out. But thank God I have these two knuckleheads talking about it to keep me entertained because the show ain't. So
guys. I mean, look, it's like a traffic accident. You slow down to Lear. Like, and that's, you don't want to look, but you kind of have to.
You gotta check it out.
You know,
already slowed down.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it's like a car wreck or a train wreck. Like you're gonna stop to look. So, again, I appreciate the fact that people are still sticking with it in hopes that there's something coming. If nothing pays off for you as a viewer, I apologize. It's not our fault.
Right. I'll be just as upset.
Yeah.
If there is no real payoff. I don't think that's the case after this week's episode. I think payoffs are coming and fun times are ahead.
I mean, look, the nice thing about it is the fact that we're not in a point in time where TV used to be 22, 24 episodes of a season.
True.
We're talking 6 episodes for season 1, 8 episodes for season 2. It's not a huge commitment.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
You know, if you get to the end of 8 episodes and the payoff didn't work for you, you spent 8 hours of your time. It's one work day. I get it. That's still a waste of time. But it's not as if you committed to 22 episodes of Heroes, which was really good, and the end of the first season was just fucking garbage.
I will see your Heroes and raise you a Jericho, a show that never really had a chance but had all the potential in the universe.
Jericho,
underappreciated gem.
I just rewatched that show a couple months ago.
Nice.
It is
nuts.
So good.
Yes, it is.
And I will say,
love Stanley Richmond's Farm.
I will say at least NBC listened to the fans and gave it another chance. See, but that's a different situation. That's a show that was really good and the network canceled it before it got a chance to become even better.
Yep.
This we're talking about a show like Fear that's like
went on
it went on way too long.
That's a good point.
It's so, again, Heroes was just, that's my go-to because the show was good and then they blew it in the finale. Hopefully Dead City is going to turn it around and be like, okay, we pulled you along, we stringed you along, but now that we're here, we're going to make it worth the trip.
I think the breadcrumbs were laid out, and we'll get into that. But
yeah, I hope so.
All right, so next up from our good friend Becky Anderson, you've heard her before, you might hear her again. Let's see what she's got to say. Narvaez is gone. When I typed that, autocorrect changed it to larvae, and I think that's fitting. Though her end was dumb AF, I am glad she's gone. Or is she? Bruegel's got her. She's far more entertaining as a walker than when alive. I was wrong. Dama did have Negan's family. Wasn't prepared for her demise. Guess you could say she went out in a blaze of glory. I think the Negan Christos scene was brilliant. Incredible acting by both. I'd like to have seen more of that duo. Croat was cruel taking that whole crew out like that, but super ballsy. I enjoyed the showdown between he and Negan in 6. So, the Croat is out and Negan sends his family away. I'm interested to see how it all plays out.
Well,
I said it better myself.
And we get some answers to that in this week's episode.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Yep. It's going to be fun when we get to that. Next up comes from Deborah Ulmer. Deborah says, "Hi, Ben and Alex. The bromance has come to an end. It seems the Croat was always destined to be someone's second in command. Negan certainly put him in his place and broke his heart. Poor guy. I think Negan's redemption arc has come full circle. He finally acknowledged the harm his actions caused his people. Although you may not be fans of Fear the Walking Dead, I believe they did a good job portraying Sherry's trauma from her experiences at the sanctuary. It's still sad to think Negan doesn't believe he deserves a second chance or a life with his family. I'm glad we got to see a glimpse of them, though. I'm getting a bit tired of the Herschel and Maggie drama. It needs to be resolved somehow. The Bruegel is always scheming. The reveal to blackmail Pearlie was wild. Take care, y'all.
So I would like to point out, I did not watch Fear the Walking Dead long enough to get to Sherry. Ben, I don't know if you did, but I'd love.
I did.
Okay, I'd love to know what she's referring to, because as someone that I myself, I guess, haven't always put as much power in the brothel piece, but that's because it was really never explored too hard in Walking Dead proper. But if there is backstory that's a part of her arc from Fear the Walking Dead, like, that intrigues me. I don't know any of that.
I would love to tell you more.
Okay.
But the honesty of it all is I don't remember.
Okay. Fans, if someone remembers what that reveal was, let me know, because I don't want to watch the show. So make it easy for me.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, and here's the crazy part too. There are so many characters. Fear the Walking Dead became almost like Game of Thrones to me, where there were so many characters. It's it's really difficult to remember all of their names. And my God, for the life of me, this is going to bug me, because this is a character I should remember. But he was one of Negan's right-hand man.
Dwight?
Dwight, thank you.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
Dwight, yeah,
Sherry's husband. I couldn't think of his name for the life of me.
Dwight.
Dwight comes into Fear the Walking Dead. I don't know if you got that far.
Absolutely not, but I knew it happened.
And part of him coming into Fear the Walking Dead is because he left the sanctuary in search of Sherry.
That I know.
And in Fear the Walking Dead, they do actually at one point reconnect.
And have a kid together, or adopt a kid together, maybe? Something?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember much of it, because I was starting to trail off of Fear the Walking Dead at that point.
I get that.
Literally, the only reason I was continuing to watch Fear the Walking Dead was because I love Garrett Dillahunt from Raising Hope and a bunch of other things that he's done. Yeah. And I was such a big fan of John Dory that when John Dory died, I was like,
I'm out.
Done.
Yep.
I'm out.
I get that.
It's like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to watch this anymore. And I literally, people thought I was kidding. I was like, John Dory died. I'm done watching, because they knew I was such a fan of that character. They thought I was joking. And I'm like, no, I'm legit done. I have never watched one episode past John Dory's death.
That's wild and impressive. So
I couldn't even tell you how Fear ends.
All right. I mean, no one really can. If I don't know either, but my money is on that Morgan's alive. I'm just gonna say Morgan's alive. I don't know why, but he cannot be killed. We know that. Anyways, all right, Ben. I'm really excited. I don't know if you did this on purpose, but I got an email from Colin Stillwell.
You did.
You know how much I love that. So.
I do.
All right, man. Warren Buffett's a name I haven't heard in a while, which is strange because I only live an hour from Omaha. I got to meet him once in 2013. He's the one with the money, right? Should name this episode The Bear and the Maggie Fair. Great call. What a batshit, blood-soaked, bonkers beast of an episode. Maggie masters the menagerie of menacingly mingling with the malevolent while not blinking for an entire scene, while Negan does his usual scheming, snarky smirk, swinging something circuited at an old sidekick and speaking in southern fried soliloquies. There's a tongue twister for you. Trust me, I'm much more of a writer. I see they gave the show about $100 and a few Whataburger coupons for the CG in this episode. It's almost like the bear couldn't decide what kind of bear it wanted to be. It went from grizzly to black bear to Yao Guai from the Fallout series, if you know, you know, and back to black bear. I really wish Negan would have taken Mile up on his offer. You got plenty of fuel to get you there. Take Annie and Joshua across the sea, established in Croatia. Find Daryl and Carol, because honestly, I don't even think AMC knows where Norman wants to buy a house next for their next season. Anyways, I'm out. CS. Colin, here's the thing. Ben sends me these agendas before we record, and I never read them ahead of time because I want you guys to all have my honest opinion. So when I started going through this Dr. Seussian tongue twister filled amazing diatribe you put in front of me, it was like I was reading Fox on Socks on crack. And thank you so much. That was so fun. You made some great points. And I'm going to take a moment, Ben, while you talk, because
I'm still stuck on his should have named the episode "The Bear and the Maggie Fair," which is fun. It's great alliteration. But my mind right after I heard you read that went to the old 70s TV show BJ and the Bear.
Absolutely.
And it should have been called MG and the Bear, Maggie Gee and the Bear.
There you go. I like that.
But the Bear and the Maggie Fair works just as well.
It's true. Great call though, Colin, on so much of that. I got nothing to add, man. As always, you crushed it.
Cool. Yeah, and thanks always, Colin, for the feedback. Continue to do it. We got 2 more episodes to go, so 2 more chances for you to get Alex tongue-tied.
Can't wait. Good luck.
All right, one final email coming in before we get to our voicemail with Steve Brown. And actually, you know what? Let's do the voicemail from Steve first, because it's in relation to the episode. So let's play that first. And then we have an email that I want to read from Zachary Singer, who sends in a really interesting theory that I really want to read to everybody. So before we do that, let's play the voicemail from our friend Steve Brown.
All right.
Hello, Ben and Alex. This is Steve, and this is going to be for The Walking Dead, Dead City Season 2, Episode 6. Bridge partners are hard to come by these days. Wow, that's a long title. Okay, so Pearlie, Jenny, Maggie, and Herschel are the only ones left of the New Babylon group, right? What did he say? Watch for chigs? Okay, ticks. All right. Okay, and who was the woman who just got taken into the brush? Ooh, and the Croat just saw the dead rat. Oh, but Negan's got his bat, Lucille 2.0. And with the Dama dead, who are they going to follow now, the Croat or Negan? I mean, do they really need to worry about New Babylon anymore? The governor with what did she call herself? Was it governor dead? And who's in charge now? And whatever. Okay, so Bruegel, is he proposing a partnership with New Babylon with these 4? I don't know. Again, what? And can Pearlie even make that deal with him? Oh, that's a cool little knife he's got in his sleeve. What is this plan Maggie's trying to propose? Are they going to try to take the methane themselves? Now the Croat and Negan are just smoking cigarettes, deciding to leave it all behind. And the Croat just saw the blood on Negan's shoe, so he's going to figure out that Negan killed the rat. And now we go one-on-one, Croat and Negan. Croat's got the bat, and now Negan's got the bat. Okay, and so I guess just like that, Negan's now in charge. And meanwhile, back at wherever the Brugels, I guess, Maggie is now, she's going to go home to the bricks. Everybody seems to change their plans really quick every 5 minutes. Now Negan's all alone back at his cell. What is this kid's name? Benjamin, right? So Dama locked him up, and now Negan's found him. So Herschel thinks of the Dama as his home, but he's going to find out the Dama. I don't know. This conversation between Maggie and Herschel is going to be moot because the Dama's dead. Oh, what animal is outside the door? Oh, she's about to find out whatever that animal was, and because it's in here with her. Oh, a bear, a big bear. And Maggie's going to stick the walkers on the bear. Oh, I don't think the throwing knives would have stopped him, but okay. I guess the fence can stop the bear, I guess. Where's Bruegel and all his people? Oh, they got the lights turned back on, and I guess Maggie's heading back to Negan. Okay, I guess she wasn't being held by Bruegel and his people. Okay, so I think I finally figured this out. So, okay, the Bruegel's going to come after Negan, and he's siding with New Babylon now, and Jenny, I don't know. Thought I had it, and now it's gone. Okay, so Negan's family is there, and he's sending him back to Tennessee. I mean, that's probably going to be the safest for him, especially if Bruegel and his people are coming after him. And there it is. Bruegel just said the title of the episode. Mic drop. Bridge partners are hard to come by these days. I have no clue how to play bridge. Never have. But Kim Coates is just chewing up the scenery. I love it. He's doing great. Oh, Nieves, you've looked better. All right. And Jenny finds Negan. Negan finds her bite, and 2 episodes left.
Thank you, Steve, for all of that. It wasn't a bite in Ginny. She impaled herself when she backed into something, hence the infection. Yep. 2, I have never played bridge a day in my life, so I also have no clue how to play it.
I got nothing.
Spades I can play like crazy.
I can play free cell like a mother.
And the only other thing I'll say too is you question whether or not Pearlie has the power to make that kind of a deal with Bruegel. Honestly, I think he does. I think everybody above him is gone at this point.
But we have no idea. I've been asking this question all season. We know that there was a general on the boat, but the governor on the boat? Is the governor the top of that government, or is there they never really have shown us the flow chart of power for New Babylon?
True.
So I feel like they're leaving that open-ended in case they need to add that Joshua Charles type character next season, like that bigger bad over the New Babylonians or whatever, like someone that's actually an intelligent threat, unlike anyone we've met so far from them. But yeah, so I don't know. When Steve said that did make my antenna go up, because I agree. We don't know how much authority Pearly has and where he falls on the depth chart here.
We know he was above Narvaez.
Correct. Yes. Below the governor, above Narvaez.
Yes. Yeah,
for sure. So I think they are intentionally leaving that open-ended, though, to give themselves wiggle room for the future world building if they so choose. That'd be my guess.
Possibly. Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
it's interesting. But thanks as always, Steve, for the full man. Okay.
You've been talking this email up since we hopped on. I'm super excited to see what it is.
And Zachary did warn me that it is kind of long, but so ordinarily I'm with you. I don't read the feedback ahead of time because I like to gauge natural reaction as we reveal it. But as I'm like copying and pasting things, I get quick glimpses, so I know whether it's positive or negative ahead of time. But I do that. Again, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to put it in there. But this one, because of how long it was, I wanted to make sure I read it in full to see if there was anything I needed to trim from it. And quite honestly, there's nothing I could trim from this.
It's perfect.
So, again, this comes from Zachary Singer, and it reads, "Hi, Ben and Alex. Sorry for the long email, but I think this is a great theory you'd like to hear.
Ooh.
I have listened to your podcast for many years. It's my highlight of driving to work each day." Well, thank you for that, Zach.
And right there with you, buddy. I love the podcasting on the way to work at 8 a.m. It is the best.
Yeah. "I have an awesome theory that I hope and pray that they do, but I highly doubt they will. Just a couple of things I've noticed about Dead City that I want to point out. One, we never got a true answer as to why Maggie and Herschel are living at the Bricks and aren't helping rebuild Hilltop or Alexandria or living at the Commonwealth, since that's where we saw them last. Two, Maggie seems different. She seems sad. She seems scared. She seems on the edge. She kind of seems like she doesn't know how to connect with him, and I didn't get that feeling at all in season 11. And three, never once have they mentioned their friends or family living back at the Commonwealth or suggesting asking them for help. So we know that Dead City takes place the furthest in the future compared to any other Walking Dead show. So here's what I think happened or would like to see happen. After the series finale, Herschel and Maggie stayed at the Commonwealth or at one of the other communities. Herschel begins to learn more about his dad and what kind of man he was and how good he was. He also learns more about the night his dad was killed. Maybe Maggie and Herschel are there for a year after the finale until Daryl finally makes his return home and reunites with Rick and has an emotional reunion. Maybe the finale of Daryl Dixon's season 3 or 4. Daryl is alone in his room, getting himself settled in when he hears a knock. It's Herschel. Herschel says it's good to see him back and explains that he learned a lot over the past year while Daryl was gone, including how his dad died. For years, his mom always told him Negan was the cause of his dad's death, and for years, he always hated Negan for it. But he has come to learn that Negan isn't the reason for Glenn's death. Glenn died because of Daryl's reckless decision and selfishness by being a hothead and punching Negan. Herschel pulls out a gun and shoots Daryl, killing him, therefore giving Daryl the Rick Grimes comic book death, acting as a vengeful son. Shortly after, Maggie finds out what Herschel did and runs away with him, choosing her son as number one priority. They run away to the Bricks. Maggie knows she can never return, never show her face, never ask for help because she's devastated about what her son did. Over the next few years, Herschel pushes that memory into the back of his mind, almost not remembering it at all, while Maggie tries so hard to connect and have a normal relationship with him. But every time she looks at him, she thinks of Glenn, but also sees Daryl dead on the floor in a pool of his own blood. I think this would be an awesome way to still be faithful to the comics, but keep Rick alive, but killing just as an important character. It would also help explain the actions of both Maggie and Herschel and their weird relationship in Dead City. I hope maybe at the end of this season of Dead City, Maggie will finally explode on Herschel and remind him that she acts this way because of the horrible thing he did at the Commonwealth. The reason they can't go back, the reason they can't ask for help, the reason they lost their family and friends. Again, I know this is long. If you need to trim it down, which I didn't, and get more to the point, you certainly can. Let me know what you think and keep up the good work with the podcast. Before I say anything, I want your thoughts on this.
All right, so this is without me processing. That is me hearing it, reading it for the first time. Now, I was reading a little faster than you were talking. I got to a point and I was like, all right, I'm gonna peel back, not read along, and hear what comes next. That is a very specific idea for the show. I think it's sensational and I love it. I do. I hope it doesn't go in that direction because that is a lot of heartbreak I'm not ready for.
Yeah.
But that's a hell of a direction. And like, I wouldn't be mad if they went in that way. And my friend, what was the name of the person that sent
Zachary?
Okay. That was 4 hours ago when we learned his name. So Zachary, that was an amazing, I don't know if you would call it like an outline for fan fiction, if it's not how the story goes, but great job. Like, way to be creative as hell and crush the assignment. Like that is a really awesome theory. I don't know if the writers are that good, but they should be.
It's one of those things, because I agree with you. I think, Zach, that is incredibly well thought. Mm-hmm. It is covering all the basis of storyline, backstory, keeping it faithful to the comic books. Like that, it is, you put a lot of thought into that, and it's the reason why I had to read it in full. Like, I was not going to cut anything from that in reading it. And thank you for sending it. Like, thank you for sharing that theory. I'm with you. It would be so intriguing to see if that is something they do, but like Zach and like you, I don't think that's anywhere close to the route they would go.
No, that would be an exceptionally ballsy choice. And like, if Kirkman wanted to burn it to the ground, I could see him making that choice, but God, that'd be amazing. It really would. That would be powerful.
It would. I mean, the main reason I can see them not, and it's not for the protection of Daryl as a character either. It's the main reason I could see them not going this route is because Daryl Dixon has yet to wrap. So to go this route with Dead City and make that kind of a reveal at the end of this season, like Zach predicted, would be giving away the fate of Daryl Dixon before that show even comes to a conclusion.
True.
So for that reason alone, I can't ever see them doing that theory.
No, that's fair. That's very fair. And but still, great creativity, man. Nicely done.
It's sort of along the lines of Star Trek Strange New Worlds for anybody who watches that. Yeah. It is anybody who is a Star Trek fan, an established Star Trek fan since the beginning, knows the fate of Captain Pike.
Yep.
So Anson Mount, who's playing Captain Pike phenomenally, by the way, like Strange New Worlds is probably my favorite Star Trek series they've ever done. As I say that as I'm rewatching Voyager currently.
Oh, okay.
And I've shared the stage with Anson. Like he's a fantastic guy, but anybody who knows the timeline of Star Trek knows he comes to a tragic end eventually.
For sure.
But that's something we already knew going into Strange New Worlds. Daryl is a character we don't know his fate.
That's true.
So to reveal it on another show before it actually happens, I don't see them ever doing that, purely for that reason alone.
Amen. No, I like that.
But Zachary, again, thank you so much for sending that in. That was fantastic.
All right, guys. There's one of the bars that you're going to need to hop over. If you're going to be sending us in fan fiction, that's the bar. Okay, so let's see. For comedy and alliteration, you're looking at Colin. For fan fiction, you're looking at Zach. All right,
There you go.
The bars.
There you go.
Oh man, is it time to talk about this week's episode?
It is. Let's dive in. The Walking Dead, Dead City, Season 2, Episode 7. Now it's my turn to try and pronounce it and get it wrong. Hey, fair is fair. Novidan Novi Posetic. That's not right. And I'm not going to try and correct it.
That's okay.
So
you're not Croatian, so.
No, I'm not.
I expect you to nail it.
Plot summary for this episode. Maggie intensifies her daring rescue mission for Herschel, navigating booby traps and psychological traps, including a shocking reunion with the seemingly resurrected Dama after finally reaching him in the Times building. Meanwhile, a desperate Negan infiltrates Bellevue Hospital to secure medicine for Ginny, enduring harrowing hallucinations and envisioning Lucille ultimately retrieving supplies to save her life.
This episode of television.
Let me tell you. So this episode was incredibly intriguing for me, and I don't have the usual number of notes that I have, which is fine because there'll still be some spirited conversation about this episode. But man, there were some butt-puckering moments in this episode for me.
So I also don't have a lot of notes. And I think it's because this is just an episode that you watch. Like,
yeah,
you start watching it, and then it's a whole lot of silent storytelling throughout, whether it's Maggie and the Croat making their way through, or Negan on his way through the hospital. Like, there's a whole lot of silent storytelling, and you just have to watch what's happening. The tension in some of the scenes is insane. Whether it be the maze or the sky bridge, insane tension.
The pediatric ward
that I have questions on, but yes, the pediatric ward.
I do have questions about that as well.
Good, because it does seem like this show is sometimes playing fast and loose with the established canon of this world. So, like, whatever, but it's fine. They're kids, I guess. Kids are lazy. They're Z pads. No, all right.
No, I heard it. I was kind of letting it sink in for a minute.
Day, so you gotta let me have it. One dad joke this episode. Right?
There you go.
That's all.
There you go. I'll give you that one.
All right. So we have already started in a cyclone of information all over this episode. Where should we actually just start?
I mean, let's just start at the beginning with Maggie walking into to the theater and finding the charred remains of. I mean, shit, it's in the plot summary, so it's already been revealed. Someone who is clearly not the Dama.
Yeah, so when we get to the reveal, I have so many questions, like, who the hell was that then? And also, so Maggie doesn't know anything about the structure. She walked into this building, ended up in the correct room for the Dama, turned off the Puccini, and yet somehow knew that the charred remains on the ground were the Dama's, enough to ask the crowd. Like, it was a hell of a leap, jump to conclusion for her to go straight to there's a charred body on the ground too. That must be the lady that my son drew the picture on.
I don't think that's as big of a leap as you think it is, because there was a conversation between Negan and Maggie last episode where Negan did tell Maggie the Dama is dead.
Oh shit, you're right. Okay, thank you. You're absolutely right. He did inform her that she was roast Peking duck.
Yeah. So, okay. I mean, she clearly knew. But the funny thing about that is, too, though, in the back of my mind, like, when we see the reveal at the end of the episode that the Dama is, in fact, still alive, when that moment happened, when she fell to the ground, and the last thing we see is the Croat staring over her as the fire is quickly approaching her. And then the next thing we see is the charred remains of a person. It's so ingrained with me of the Glenn under the dumpster.
That Palpatine survived.
It's one of those things that if you don't see it happen on screen, it probably didn't happen. So as much of a shock as it was to see her pop up, because when she pops up at the end of this episode, I was like, oh shit, like there was a part of me that was like, I didn't see that coming, but then deeper part of me that was like, yeah, I should have seen that coming.
there was a big old part of me that said, fuck out of here. Like, come on, really? We're doing this. So they had damn sure better explain this one well. Did Milei know?
I don't think he did, because he is standing there
Very
as he's broken.
Yes. 100%
I mean,
yes.
And when Maggie finds him, he is sitting there and he's just staring at the body. If he knew, he would not be that way.
I could not agree more with you. But it begs the question then, what happened from what we saw when the blaze started and Milei was in the room to a different charred body being on the floor, to the extent that Milei believed it to be the Dama? Like, how did that come to be? Like, who did the Dama burn then? Whose body is that? Is that a walker?
And that's the biggest question, is whose body is it? Because, and I'm sure we're going to get that reveal in the finale next week. Yes. But I mean, I could see the Croat being oblivious to this, because my guess is that he, as much as he had that disagreement with the Dama when in that moment of unfortunate passion, and when he pushes her down, she gets trapped, he probably walks away and doesn't watch her burn. I don't think he would sit there and watch her burn, because she wouldn't
help her get out.
He just wouldn't help her get out. Like, he knew he wanted her to go, but he didn't want to watch it happen.
He wasn't going to celebrate it. He was just going to benefit from it.
Exactly. Like, it was a statement for him to walk away from her as she was catching fire than to actually watch it happen. So I have the reveal needs to be, how the hell did she get out?
Yep.
And who did she put there?
Yep.
Because it had to be somebody close.
Right. Like my guess is a walker. I don't know, that like maybe she had a dead body just chilling. Like, she seems crazy enough.
Because I'm trying to think, is there somebody that isn't there right now that
who's expendable that we haven't seen?
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody. Like, we see Pearlie in next week's. We've seen Benjamin. Like, everybody is accounted for right now.
You're right, though. This needs to be explained really
well, or else I'm going to be real pissed off. Because, like, I don't want this show. And the show did a lot of good work paying off breadcrumbs, I thought, this episode, of like why they were leaning on things earlier in the season, why they were telling us about how Negan made that, like, killed that one entire group by feeding them walker meat, and how he had the harem and all that stuff, and like really examining that. And I think we get more of a payoff this episode when going through his story, his tribulations, and then his final answer to what he needs to do. So yeah, that was paid off. I thought the Benjamin stuff was really powerful this week. I thought he's finally a super interesting character, and one that, like, I'm really rooting for whatever the hell comes next.
100% agree with you. Like, he became an interesting character,
like,
in
overnight.
This. Like, to find out that the reason why he is the way he is, like, in recording the history and transcribing everything, is because he was so young when this whole world went to shit. He was only 10 years old, but he doesn't remember it. So, like, and this is his way of, like, reclaiming that.
Yes. And, like, I look at my daughter who's 10 years old, and I know just how formed of a person that is. Like, that's not some toddler running around. That is a fully formed individual that is going through some complex thinking. And to think that this poor person went through such a traumatic experience that they have mentally walled off the first 10 years of their life and cannot access that memory because of the trauma. And, like, it's so weird because Herschel sees the past as this stupid relic that should be cast aside. But when Benjamin's talking about why he holds on to the past, because he wants to hold on to that hope. He wants to hold on to the good feelings and the belief in people. And, like, I think Benjamin versus Herschel is going to be a really interesting dichotomy of how you look at how the past shapes the future in seasons to come.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly how I felt on watching this episode and learning more about Benjamin, was that it's such an interesting dynamic that you look at Benjamin and you look at Herschel, and they both look at the past in two completely different polar ways. In that Herschel, doesn't want to go back to the past. He wants to, he wants to rewrite it and erase what is in the past and rewrite the future, or write what the future could be, because they shouldn't go back to the past. Granted, I feel like that's an influence that's been imprinted on him by the Dama and other people. But then you have Benjamin, who is somebody who doesn't remember the past, just similarly like Herschel, because Herschel wasn't alive during it.
Yep.
He wasn't born into it. And maybe that's the difference. Maybe it's the fact that Herschel didn't live in the past, whereas Ben spent 10 years there and doesn't remember it.
Right.
And wants to go back to kind of remember or write a version of the past that's his own,
that he could have been a part of.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I like
that. And that's just it. Maybe he wants to write about and learn about a part of his own life that he was a part of for one point.
And just can't access. And that, again, that's really good storytelling, I thought. And I'm glad that the dialogue has gotten really good throughout the season. I thought it has improved and gotten better. I think this probably had the least amount of dialogue of all the episodes, but less was more, and it really did well. Like the Maggie and Melee through the maze scene was some of the most haunting stuff. If you put yourself in Maggie's shoes, you are dehydrated. You are exhausted. You have 0 blood sugar because you haven't eaten in 3 days. You are falling asleep while standing and walking through a zombie-infected maze while following someone because you don't know where you're going, and you're falling asleep while you're walking. That is some of the scariest shit I have ever tried to put myself in the shoes of in my life.
And what's funny is one of the interesting comparisons I saw between both Maggie and Negan in this episode is that they are both almost done in by, I don't want to say weaknesses, because it can be looked at as weaknesses, but they're not. Negan is almost done in by a child. It's a child walker, but as it's been learned over both through The Walking Dead proper and this show, he has an affinity for children. Like, he doesn't want anything to happen to children. And because he's not willing to kill a child walker, it almost does him in. Like, he backs into it, he gets pushed into a room, he hits his head, he passes out. It makes him vulnerable. Maggie, on the other hand, is almost done in by her determination. She's so determined to find Herschel. She's so determined to get to where he is that she's pushing herself way too hard, to the point where, as you mentioned, she's dehydrated. Her blood sugar's low. She's ready to pass out from lack of sleep. And it almost does her in. She gets overtaken by zombies, by walkers.
A couple of times.
So it was an interesting dynamic for me to see, like, these two main characters are almost done in by their own idiosyncrasies.
Right. Do you feel that by the end of the episode, they have both grown from experiencing going through that kind of emotional journey? Because I feel that Negan's done a level of metamorphosis. I don't know if I'll call it growing, but do you feel like Maggie learned a lesson through all of that?
I do. And as weird as it is for me to say, because of how much I really enjoy the character of Negan, the complexity of Negan, and how I love Maggie as well. It's, again, Maggie and Negan, two of my favorite characters, is the reason why I got into the show. I feel like Maggie's lesson was better than Negan's, because I've been saying Negan's lesson actually confused me by the end of this episode.
Okay.
Because going back to the conversation with Benjamin, I didn't just love the conversation between Negan and Benjamin because of what we learned about Benjamin.